Say hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Say Hey Plays. My name is Jose Bouquett. Alongside me is my guy Ian Cameron. Ian, how are you doing?
Great to be back, Jose, on a
Wait a minute,
Tuesday.
huh?
Yeah.
It's been a while since you've done the show. Or
No,
we've had,
last week I came back. Last week I
it's,
came back.
man,
Yeah.
it feels like it's been forever since I've seen you, Bobano.
Before last week, it had been a while for sure. But no, this is 2 Tuesdays in a row I've been on, so it's good to get back in the rhythm again, being on every Tuesday, and not a bad card tonight. So let's break it down.
Yeah, I am excited about it. It's a good card, man. I don't know why I feel like I haven't seen you in forever, Bobano. Jeez. But it's nice to see you as always. I now remember you did Jimmy on Friday too,
Yeah.
anyways, as
Yeah, the
well.
volume of shows definitely declines in the summer, which I'm by necessity. It has to happen. Recharge the batteries, and I'll be ready to go with another busy show load once football season starts.
Well, speaking of no power, shout out to Rocco Rogers in the chat saying his phone might die. Rocco, get that charged, Daddy. We need you. Shout out to you guys all in the chat. Drip, Skylark, Perky, Fly White Mike, Jack Rosenblatt dropping the first chat in here. Shout out to you, my guy. And he's a member, so shout out to him even double there. Gerald Jones, LG, Justin McElvey, Stocks Pod, over 1.5 bases for Christian Yelich. Good play there. Had a good day yesterday. That's maybe why I'm in a bit of a better mood than I usually am in. So that's very nice. 4 in one day. Can't complain, but need to just keep piling up winning days. And I've got a couple of games I'm interested in. I would love to bet on my Red Sox today, but the weather might not allow that. So that'll be very interested to see how that happens. And I'm excited to talk about this card in general, Bobano. So let's get started with an interesting game in Los Angeles, Detroit. Bobano. And I'd love to hear your thoughts as always on these games, but this one in particular because we have a Detroit Tigers team that's favored here against a pretty good Angel squad, as we know, and an Angel squad that hits lefties really well. Full season, they're fifth, 114 weighted runs created plus, and this month, 137 weighted runs created plus is second best in the league. And Eddie's been pretty good since he's came back. You know, he's gone 2 earned runs in his last 2 appearances at the Royals. 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. You better do that against the Royals. And then 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs against Seattle at Seattle, which is more impressive. He's coming back home, and I'll look up right now to see if he's got any interesting home road splits. But I'm very interested in your take here because I don't have anything in this game to start off with, but hey, it definitely feels like this is a dog or pass for me. And he's got a 2.7 ERA at home and a 2.6 on the road. So he's been pretty good everywhere. Just we'll see how he pitches against maybe arguably the best lineup he's faced in a while, and especially because of how good they hit lefties. But, Bannon, what do you think?
They do hit lefties, but I've been going with the K props lately for Erod, and I'm going back to it tonight. This is the only bet on this game. I have nothing on the side or the total. I actually lean Tigers. I'm just not enamored with laying a $1.25 with their lineup, which can be a little spotty from time to time. Canning's one of those guys you don't know what you're always going to get. Very inconsistent, very erratic. He was horrible to begin the season. Then he actually went through a few starts where he was getting better and kind of back to inconsistent ways here the last few months starts here in the month of July. So what I am convinced about, though, is the Kings have been, or not the Kings, the Angels, thinking of another LA team, the Angels, they're striking out against lefties a little bit more than they have throughout the course of the season, more so lately, even though their lefty numbers against lefty pitching are still pretty good. Like I said, Rodriguez has been getting some Ks here in recent starts. We know there is some swing and miss in this Angels lineup, especially outside of Ohtani. So I definitely think it's a good prop here with Eduardo Rodriguez over 5.5 strikeouts. A little pricey, but minus 160. But I think he gets 6+ Ks here.
Very interesting. Fly White Mike asking about my thoughts on the Kike Hernandez trade. He's been the worst player in baseball. It's really not that close. WAR wise, he's the WAR leader in negative WAR. Just horrible. And defensively, tied for the lead for most errors. And it's funny. CJ Abrams has 785 innings. Great. He has 14 errors. Kike has 484 innings, and he has 14 errors. He has been horrible this year, and I'm glad that he's gone. However, I know for a fact he's going to play well in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
I just know it. It's going to be hilarious. As long as the Angels don't fucking throw, or the Dodgers Don't throw him at shortstop. He'll be fine defensively.
He
But
was at his best as the first go around with the Dodgers, honestly.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and I'm sure he'll play perfectly fine there. But now that he's gone from the Red Sox, he's just been horrible, just the worst, literally the worst player in baseball. So, no thanks there. But I whatever, it's fine, it's fine.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll throw one out there, Chang Kim, because I may forget at the end of the show. He's asking for a 2-team parlay. I'll throw it out there now for him because like I said, I might forget at the end of the show. San Francisco and Cleveland. There were 2 teams I was looking to bet today in some form, first 5 run line or full game run line. I decided not to. And I didn't bet either of those teams, but putting them in a money line parlay, I think makes sense. Giants and Guardians.
Market wise, real quick before we move on from this game as well. 51% of the bets and 63% of the money on the Tigers there. And for the total, 60% of the bets on the under, but 57% of the money on the over. So make of that what you will. A little slight over money there, bigger bets on the over. Let's move on to game 2, Baltimore, Philadelphia. And I think I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon. I guess I like the Orioles here. I thought yesterday that the Phillies would get them just because of the hangover spot, like everyone else thought. I didn't bet it, thankfully. I was really close to, and I didn't. Shout out to the Spin Doc for getting me off that, I guess. But I want to bet the Orioles here. And honestly, again, I've said this several times. I've talked about how I thought the Orioles were the best team in the American League, just as good as the Braves. They, like Jimmy said this morning too, they just keep passing every single test that is put in front of them. And maybe they were just fortunate that their rotation set up, that Dean Kramer, arguably their best pitcher, pitched in that spot for them. Maybe. But they've just been really good. They've just been really, really good. And I honestly think they're the best team in the American League. And I think they're going to win the American League East. Which is surprising to the books, I guess, because they still have them as underdogs, like Jimmy said this morning. But yeah, I like the Orioles here. Taijuan Walker has been good, obviously, and I need to double check because I don't want to say this and be wrong here, but I believe he's a big home road splits guy, especially at home. He pitches well. Yeah, at home he's at a 2.76 ERA, and on the road he's got a 5.25 ERA. So. Again, I like the Orioles here, I really do, but it's difficult, I guess. I don't know. I always have this issue with Phillies games, Bobano. I sit here and I just look at the Phillies, and I just never know what to do with them. I've not bet on or against the Phillies since like June 12th or something like that. It's been a long time since I had a Phillies game bet. And you know me, Bobano. I just hated to see their shortstop just continue to stink. The Phillies shortstop just continues to disappoint everyone. And I guess he blew his load in the preseason, unfortunately. So just a reminder to fuck that guy. I hate that fucking guy. And I'm glad to see him fail. Bobana, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I actually looked past whatever, letdown spot people thought for the Orioles last night against Philadelphia after the series win against Tampa Bay. I was on Baltimore last night. They're the gift that keeps on giving, and I'm right back to them here tonight as a slight underdog. Look, Gibson gets, raked over the coals a little bit, but he's serviceable. He's a solid, steady pitcher. He's not going to, wow you with what he does in terms of lighting up the radar gun or velocity, but he's a crafty enough pitcher to get through, I think, a Phillies lineup, which, as we saw last night, in the first game of this series, they don't always have the best approach and the most patient approach. So Gibson has a chance to have some success here. Taijuan Walker really had a tough start last time out. He had been pitching pretty well, but I think the Orioles' power could get to him. He does still give up a hard hit rate that's pretty alarming. And hard hit contact can really get to him here. There is a chance of showers, but I'm thinking that the rain's going to be mostly not a huge factor. Very little, if any, is in the forecast. I think they get this game in. I did play the over a little bit here as well. 9.5, low-scoring game last night. I think we see something a little bit different here tonight. Definitely think the Orioles will score against the Walker and the Philly bullpen. I think Philadelphia will chip in a little bit offensively themselves here tonight. Keep in mind the Orioles relievers, especially their best relievers, have really had to work quite a bit of innings lately in the last few games, going back to the Tampa series. So there could be some depletion in that pen tonight, which could open the door for some runs for the Phillies late. So like Baltimore, like the over.
I'm officially going to move on the Orioles here, and it's such a confusing play for me because again, I just don't know what to do with the Phillies. But you know, go look at the National League wild card standings. Philadelphia just right on the edge outside of it. I mean, everyone thought that they were kind of moseying on into the playoffs, and now they're a full game out now on a 4-game losing streak too, as well. So yeah, I'm not going to bet the Phillies on a losing streak there. I'll take the Orioles plus 107 for me. All right, let's move on to Miami Tampa Bay Rays here. Glass now versus Edward Cabrera here. Good pitching matchup, and obviously it screams under 7.5 total. Kind of makes sense, I guess. Let's go to the market real quick for this one to start off with because it's kind of surprising. You think that automatic under, but 56% of the bets and 62% of the money on the over. Very interesting. And I was shocked to see this number. I had to like double take, triple take because the Rays have been so good offensively all year. But just this month, they're 25th against righties, 85 weighted runs created plus. The big like red flashing light in there, or their failures recently. The offense has just not been there, and obviously they're an arm short too. So I'll be interested to watch this game, but I really had no action on it. And this is Edward Cabrera's second start coming off the IL. You know, I typically like fading a guy if he has a good start in that first game. I don't know. I just ultimately stayed off. And his 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run performance against the Cardinals was impressive. So, you know, it's the Rays in some form or fashion are pass for me. So I'm passing.
This just feels like a Tampa Bay, they had the day off, licked their wounds, right? They didn't like the way, obviously, the things went against Baltimore. When you lose 3 or 4, that's going to happen against the team you're battling with for first in the division. But day off yesterday, hit the reset button, recharge the batteries, and they've got a guy on the mound that's an ultimate gamer. Say what you will about Tyler Glasnow. The guy's a gamer. He's a competitor. Oftentimes, when the team needs him, he's going to respond. I remember the last start he had was a pretty impressive one. Tyler Glasnow, and it was against Baltimore. 2 earned runs in 7 innings. He pitched very well against Atlanta earlier in the month, one of the better teams in baseball. 8 strikeouts, just 1 earned run in 5.2 innings. It feels like in these spots, Tyler Glasnow elevates, and I think now team off a rough series against Baltimore, Marlins offense that's gone completely in the shitter, in my opinion, during this bad losing streak they've had. I think it's an opportunity here for Tampa Bay to get well. I'm not laying this price, like I'm not involved in the side, but I certainly wouldn't want to step in front of Tampa Bay or Tyler Glasnow in this spot. And to me, Cabrera, even coming off the IL, walks were an issue in that first start. He gave up a home run. St. Louis wasn't in the greatest offensive form when he pitched against them. So, I'm not convinced he goes through this start totally unscathed, even with the Rays offense scuffling a little bit. So I think Tampa wins. I'm just not laying the price. What I am taking in this game is Glasnow over 7.5 strikeouts at minus 130. He's gone 8+ strikeouts in 4 of his last 5 starts. He had 12 against KC, 11 against Seattle, 8 against Atlanta. That's Atlanta. He had 8 strikeouts against. Pretty damn good offense, and he still got 8 strikeouts against them. 9 strikeouts in his last start against Baltimore. He's very capable of getting at least 8 against this slumping Miami lineup.
Yeah, the Marlins just been so bad since the All-Star break. It's been tough. And by the way, I just saw that the Red Sox are getting 2 minor league relievers for him too, upper level minor league relievers for Kike. So that makes me even more happy that he's not on the Red Sox. So very good, very good. Shout out to Heim Bloom. Nothing for me here. Let's go to the game I actually have action on. And shockingly enough, Bobano, I am taking a first 5 under 5 in this game. I think Austin Gomber might have to, put up some wizardry here, but I think he can pitch well against a Nationals team that has just been destroying lefties. And it's been shocking to see. Fifth against lefties this month, 130 weighted runs created plus, and 225 ABs. That's a lot. And I was pretty surprised to see it. But I thought Gomber was going to throw yesterday, and I thought it was going to be Corbin versus Gomber. And I got excited for that game. I was like, yeah, I think I want to bet a first 5 under in this game because I really thought Gomber was going to be able to handle a Nationals lineup. He's pitched okay recently. 6 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned runs against the Astros. 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs against the Yankees. And Trevor Williams is a guy that always just sneaky pitches well. You kind of have to plug your nose and really not watch the baseball games, honestly. It helps to bet on Trevor Williams if you just don't watch his starts, because his box scores will be, semi-impressive. But if you watch it, you're probably watching on pins and needles the whole time. But I took the first 5 under 5. And another thing that helped me with this was the market. 80% of the bets and 95% of the money on the over here. So everyone get me on the over, and I'll just quietly take a first 5 under here, and we'll have a hopefully quiet start to this game in Washington, D.C. So first 5 under 5 minus 105 for me, Bobana. What do you think?
Well, hopefully it's one of those games where maybe it's first 5 under 5.5. It is. Is that what it is for you?
I have 5, just minus 105.
All right, so you got first 5. Well, maybe it's 4. We'll get you a 3-1 after the first 5, and then we got an explosion late because I'm on the full game over here. I just cannot, and I will not resist betting in a full game over with this Washington Nationals bullpen right now. I just won't. They are that bad. They are that horrendous. This could be a game where Trevor Williams maybe holds Colorado to 1 or 2 runs, and you could still see Colorado get to 7 or 8 by the end of the game because that bullpen just cannot get outs right now. Again, last night, horrible performance by that Nats bullpen in a loss to the Rockies. And I was on Colorado as a dog too, and I like Colorado as a dog here. I mean, we're going to lay this price full game with this Nats bullpen right now. Can't do it. And the concern is Gomber because Washington, and you said Washington, you're shocked that they're hitting lefty. Remember, they were hitting lefties well for a few years there when Soto was on the team, and they had a couple of really good years there where Washington was really a good lineup, one of the better lineups in baseball against left-handed pitching. This year, you're right, they haven't been nearly that team, but lately they have been. That's the one concern about me liking Colorado a bit. This is just a price play. Washington at this price as a favorite is not something I'm interested in with that flammable gas can bullpen of theirs. Not a chance. So I like the over here again. This is just that bad of a bullpen where even if this is a low-scoring start, you could get tons of runs in bunches late. And even the Colorado bullpen isn't that great. So just like last night, there were a lot of runs in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning of that game. And I think we'll probably see more of the same here. So Colorado plus price and over 9 as well.
All right, beautiful work there. Let's move on to the Subway Series. And I by the way, I think the Major League Baseball should do a lot more of like scheduling like rivalry weeks and stuff. Be more interesting. We have like mini rivalries, I guess, this week. But whatever. Mets Yankees is an interesting one as always. Subway Series,
mediocrity series is what I call it.
Yeah, this year it is especially. Both these teams fucking stink. The Red Sox took care of the Mets yesterday or 2 days ago, I guess now. And now we've got Justin Verlander on the bump against the Yankees. It's one of those things where I'm sure he gets amped up to pitch against the Yankees, especially in the Bronx here. It's 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run in his start earlier this season against the Yankees. And he's coming off of an 8-inning, 3-hit, 1 earned run performance against the White Sox. It's the real question is what are we going to get from Domingo Germán here, Bobano? Because obviously a minus 115, I'm obviously intrigued by Justin Verlander in some form or fashion here. I'd like to take the Mets here, but the market, let's talk about it because it seems like we got a little bit of an over money here. 70% of the bets and 58% of the money on the over. And on the sidewise here, 61% of the bets and 59% of the money on the Yankees. So, I like the Mets here, honestly, but I just don't think I can move on this game. Mets against righties in the last month, 7th, 123 weighted runs created plus. And Domingo is coming off a bad start. This might be his good start, bad start, good start, bad start, and he's landing on the good start. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this, it's a clear pass on the side. I mean, I've certainly leaned to the Mets a little bit. Verlander's form's been better lately, and he's dominated the Yankees. 3 runs in 19 innings in his career against the New York Yankees. So that's pretty damn impressive. But the Yankees got their offense and their bats going a little bit over the weekend. Anthony Rizzo hit the first home run he's hit in forever over the weekend against Kansas City. So, and thank goodness, because they need it. They need everything they can get out of him and everybody else. Obviously, this is an offense that's been near the bottom of the major leagues the last month in every major category: average, home runs, extra base hits, OPS, just brutal for this Yankees lineup. So to see Rizzo get going a little bit over the weekend was significant for them. So I did play a little over in this game, 8.5 in the Bronx on a warm night. Herman, I don't trust. You could say that about the two lineups as well. Can you fully trust the Mets lineup and the Yankees? So it's really a pick your poison here. But I played a little over 8.5, lean Mets. I just didn't love the idea of, well, certainly when it opened at minus 130. The price is getting to the level now at close to even money where I'm tempted by the Mets. Very tempted. Definitely lean Mets, but I think I'm going to pump the brakes.
Yeah, I lean Mets too, but I'm not going to move on it. Shout out to Jacqueline in here as well, as everyone saying hello to Jacqueline. Hello, Jacqueline. Nice to see you. Sancho, Ramos, Nate Dogg in here as well, leaning over. Shout out to you, Rocco, Christopher Commentini, all in here as well. And by the way, we'll get to my guy BJ's play of the day here. He had to bounce, but shout out to you, BJ, if you can catch the replay, my man. Let's go to Boston, Atlanta. I still don't have a line for this, Bobano. I don't know about you. It is seemingly it's going to be a bullpen day with John Scribner. I can never say his name correctly. I don't know what's wrong with me with his name.
It's John Schreiber.
Yeah, exactly. So John Schreiber, like Lee F. Even though I don't know who that is. I think that's an actress, Alien. I don't know. But shout out to him. He's making his return back to the majors. He was on the IL for a while now. Back. I'll be excited to see him because he's a really good reliever. And I'll say it again: Red Sox are getting healthy. Watch out. It's going to be very interesting to see what these Red Sox do in these next month or so. But he starts the game. Well, I guess we'll see Penvetta coming out of the pen or coming out of the bullpen as the follower, excuse me. And I'll be interested because he got crushed against the Braves already once this year. But Nick Penvetta is different. He's pitched really well. It's been just shocking to see him come out of the bullpen and just see him do his thing. So, admittedly, I want to bet the Red Sox here, but if you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw the weather in Boston, just a bunch of rain and everything. So I don't know if this game goes, but I 100% lean Red Sox here.
Yeah, I actually go the other way with Atlanta, just because you don't get them at this kind of prices all that often. $140. I think it's reasonable. Even with old man Morton on the hill, who, honestly, actually, to be quite honest, he's pitched pretty solid for the most part for the Atlanta Braves. You're right. There's a question of whether rain will impede this game or not. But, bullpen day, and Pavetta's actually been better, no question, in terms of being pitching against, out of the bullpen as opposed to starting. But as far as I'm concerned here, I know Boston has perked up a little bit here with some of their recent play, but let's also not forget they did drop a series to Oakland last week, and that's not something that really impressed me all that much. To me, there's a big step up in class. I'm not sure they're prepared for it. And to be honest, this is more than anything to me. We don't get the opportunity to bet the Atlanta Braves at less than $1.50 very often. So I do like Atlanta a little bit here. I did like the over as well, but the rain kind of tempers that.
I would agree with you about the over and the rain as well. I'm taking the Red Sox money line. It is officially out, which is nice. It is plus 127 for me. The Braves are at minus 138 on Bet Online and minus 142 on Bovada. So shout out to that. 10.5 that total with the rain.
Yep.
That's pretty high. That is pretty high. So, and I'm seeing John Schreiber. Lee F. I just have to keep remember of Lee F. Schreiber, apparently. But he's on the bump to start the game, and then we'll see what happens. Bayo goes tomorrow, so that'll be interesting. It'll be Bayo Strider, I think, tomorrow, which, that'll be a fun game. Let's go Royals, Guardians, a not-so-fun game. Savali versus Zach Greinke here, Bobano. The line's moving towards Savali, and I guess, sure, but I just really had nothing on this one, Boban. This is a really easy stay-off game for me. I don't want to bet the Guardians at minus 200, and I understand Savali's pitched really well, especially the last couple of games, and July 7th, he went out there, 7 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs against these these Royals, but still, I just want nothing to do with this game, so I passed.
Parlay piece. like I said earlier, Cleveland, definitely a good parlay piece with San Francisco, with a few of these, San Diego, maybe we'll get to them later. But definitely Cleveland in a parlay piece is what I'd look at here. I'd also look at Savale over strikeouts here in this game as well. We know KC is capable of being susceptible to the strikeout pitches. Savale is not always someone that's going to go over the K prop, and we've seen, the last two, he only got 3 against Pittsburgh, and he only got 2 against Texas, but he did have 9 when he faced this Kansas City team earlier this month on July 7th. So to me, this is that night to step in there and say, you know what? He got 9 Ks against this feeble lineup, although they weren't so feeble last night. Give them credit, the big upset they had against Cleveland. But I think it's back to reality here for the Royals tonight against the Guardians, and a guy in excellent form right now in Aaron Savale, who dominated them earlier this month, and like I said, had 9 strikeouts. And again, his strikeout prop's only 4.5 minus 150, or you could opt for 5.5 at a plus price, depending on which book you're looking at. But yeah, I think the Aaron Savale K's prop, I have over 4.5 minus 150. I think asking him to get 5 strikeouts against this lineup is not much of a stretch.
Shout out to my guy Troy Torrance, wherever he is. I'm rolling with him. His I guess like play or whatever he calls it, like his like trend that he always follows, and it's Ron Crawford just put it in the chat. Cleveland run line minus 105, and then Gerald Jones just put Cleveland run line as well. And by the way, Lucas Ryan put the over in here as well, which is 8.5, and now it's 9. So shout out to you, Lucas Ryan. I'm also going to jump on Cleveland run line. Troy Torrance is like theorem. Home teams that are favored with more money on them and more tickets, and the line moves their way. They've just been cashing at a ridiculous rate for him. So I take Cleveland minus 1.5, minus 105 for me there. Shout out to my guy, Troy Torrance. Hope to see him very soon as well. Let's go Seattle, Minnesota. Great pitching matchup, a rerun of this very same pitching matchup we've already seen, which kind of sours it a bit, but it'll make it interesting. 7 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs for George Kirby against these very Twins, and Pablo went 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs in a 5-0 loss there for the Twins. Now, what are we going to get from this back-to-back? I don't know. I will admit there's a play I have here in the next couple of games that is specifically geared towards back-to-backs, thinking that a veteran pitcher that has been around the block once or twice will be able to adjust more and better than a younger pitcher that has not been in this situation all the time. So that would lead me towards betting Pablo Lopez and the Twins here again. And the Twins, who have been really hot since the All-Star break, their bats have come alive, 4th in this month, 127 weighted runs created plus. But I haven't moved on it officially, and I don't think I am going to move on it, Bobano. What do you think?
Double K, not Kevin Kiermaier. Double K prop is what I'm talking about. I like the strikeout props on both of these pitchers here tonight. Both of these teams, by the way, they're talking about at or near the bottom as far as strikeouts are concerned. These are 2 lineups that are swinging and missing a shit ton, night after night after night. Look at last night, both Castillo and Maeda go over their strikeout prop. And guess who was on both of those last night? Yeah, yours truly. So right back to the well here. These are 2 strikeout-prone lineups. These are 2 strikeout pitchers. Kirby lately has had an uptick in strikeouts, over 5.5, minus 155 for him. And for Pablo Lopez, who, look, he didn't have a great outing last time. I think he bounces back. He's pitched well at home this year. We'll go over the 7.5 strikeouts for him at even money.
Ron Crawford likes Seattle, and JP's singing little Twins there. So I could see it. Shout out to Ching Chong, maybe? I don't know who sings. I obviously don't know music, so I just know that that's the lyrics, I guess. Let's go to the next game here, Rubano. And before I do, let's talk about the market real quick before I forget. 72% of the bets and 83% of the money on the Twins, and the line has dropped a little bit, so that's very surprising. As for the total here, kind of unsurprisingly, under galore. 68% of the bets and 88% of the money on the under. So very interesting there. All right, let's go to the next game, and shout out to my guy BJ. We all know BJ makes those big boy bets. Maybe that should be his play. BJ's big boy bets, just all B's in there. He's on the Chicago Cubs money line here for 3 units. Again, we all know who that is, and he cashed the Astros last night. So shout out to him. Just going out there and making big bets, and now he's taking the Cubs here in another crosstown rivalry again. I like it, sure. Apparently the Braves and the Red Sox are supposed to be rivals, but they're only rivals for people that are like over 100 years old who remember the Boston Braves, I guess. So this is the MLB versions of the rivalry week is kind of what I'm saying, but it's kind of lame that the Yankees and the Red Sox aren't playing, but whatever. Kyle Hendricks, obviously, I don't know what to make of him, Bobano, really. I don't. He pitches better at home historically. This year, kind of the splits have evened out. At least he started pitching better on the road to start. We'll see if that evens itself out for his career and he starts sucking on the road later on. But right now, he's got a 2.5 on the road. He's got a 4.2 at home and exactly 32 innings pitched both sides. So, I can see it. And obviously, who's the better team of the Chicago teams? It's no question the Cubs. It's very tough for me to back the White Sox on any occasion, and Michael Kopech is so hit or miss. He will go out there and he'll give you the 5 2/3, 2 hits, 1 earned run. But to do that, he'll probably get crushed in the start before that, and he did with his 0.2, 2 2/3 innings pitched against the Atlanta Braves. So the walks remain an issue. I had one point in the season where I was like, am I regretting the Chris Sale trade for Moncada and Kopech? And then I watched Kopech pitch. I'm like, not even a little bit. I'll take my injured Chris Sale over this fucking guy who is just erratic. So no, thank you. It's a Cubs or pass for me, obviously. Shout out to BJ, but I have nothing on this game.
Yeah, nothing for me, side or total or any Bellinger over 1.5 total bases goes without saying. That guy's just on fire. I'd maybe look at something like that here in this game, but Hendricks is probably the more trustworthy guy right now, and the Cubs are certainly the more trustworthy team, but we're talking laying a price on the road, and Kopech could be one of those nights where actually he does rein the walk problems in, the control and command issues, and we know he can get swing and miss stuff from his pitches. So maybe this is the night he does pitch a little bit better. I actually almost took Kopech strikeouts over 5.5. But again, you're worried about innings. You're worried about the pitch count getting ramped up because of all the control issues he's had at times. So pass for me.
Yeah, I like the Cubs, but I don't think I'll move on them. I want to check the market real quick, and I'll be interested to see what the Cubs do. I think obviously they should sell. Like Bellinger and Stroman are pretty obvious there. But I don't know. It's just, what are you going to get for them? Is always the question. And Bellinger is probably the best bat out there. And if you trade for Bellinger, he's super erratic too. Like, on the Dodgers, he just was nothing those last few weeks.
Yeah, brutal. The last year especially. Yep.
And it's crazy too because he won an MVP, so you have to pay him really well.
Yep.
So it's crazy, and people forget Cody Bellinger won an MVP. There are not many Hall of Famers that are MVPs that aren't Hall of Famers. So just put that out there. That's pretty crazy to think about. Let's go to the market, like I was mentioning here. Oh God, this is why I can't bet the Cubs. 88% of the bets and 80% of the money on Chicago here. And I do remember someone mentioning that this line opened up as the White Sox favored. And I want to double check that here on my sites, because if that is the case, and I'm sure it is, that would make me feel a lot better than betting that big side. So yeah, this is minus 117 White Sox when it opened up yesterday at around 9:30, and it just obviously just been going towards the White Sox, or the Cubs, that whole time as well. And BJ said it opened up at plus 110 for him. And yeah, I get it. You know what? I'll write it down, BJ, and we'll see if I'm on it at the end of the show, my guy. But shout out to you there for your play of the day. Let's go to the next spot on the board. And I feel like I'm contractually obligated at this point to continue betting the Brewers against the Reds. I've been doing it pre All-Star break, the fucking series after the All-Star break. I did it yesterday again here. And now it's at minus 150, and I'm like, ugh, am I have to take the -1? Because I don't love a Brewers offense. It the total's at 8. We're not expecting many runs in this game, but here's the game that I was referring to earlier. I mean, we're getting Andrew Abbott, who has now, I don't know, like 6 starts in the majors, like 7 starts in the majors. Young guy. And this is his now 4th time versus Milwaukee. And the same thing for Corbin Burns. This will be his 4th time against Milwaukee, too. But who do you trust to make the adjustments more? 4th time through, or whatever you want to call it, through a lineup. Corbin Burns is a Cy Young winner that's done this plenty of times before. And Andrew Abbott isn't. And I know the Brewers are not good against lefties. Full season, 86 weighted runs created plus, 27th. But this month, their 125 weighted runs created plus against lefties is 8th best in 170 or 167 plate appearances, too. So that's pretty shocking. And the Reds offense has been fine last month or this month, 15th, 97 weighted runs created plus against righties. But let's just go through the starts real quick. Andrew Abbott starts against the Brewers. His last start, I believe, against them, six innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and a 3-0 loss. 4 1/3, 9 hits, 6 earned runs, and a 3-7 loss. And then his debut start, which is where he made his opening games against the Brewers, 6 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, and a 2-0 victory. It's just you keep seeing him, you're going to get him. And I really think that's going to happen here today. By the way, I'll do it for Corbin Burns here as well before I pass it to you, Bobano. His 3 starts against the Reds. At the Reds, 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs. Versus the Reds at home, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. At the Reds, 6 innings, 2 hits, 3 earned runs. And he's had a lot of walks in those starts, too. So it's not like he's giving up a lot of hits. You heard it. 2 innings or 2 hits, 3 hits, 2 hits. It's just a lot of walks. It was like 7 Ks, 4 walks. So, imagine if he just gets those walks ironed out, he'll throw another great gem here. So I like the Brewers -1, and I have not made it official yet. It's about even money right now. Would love to hear your thoughts, Bobano, on this game.
Yeah, just Burns over strikeouts for me, 7.5, which I think he's capable of getting. Reds could be in tough in terms of, and Burns has really been ramping it up in terms of getting the swinging strike rate back up again. He had a little drop in it for a bit, but back up where it needs to be. I like Andrew Abbott, I do. But the question is, how's he going to fare here tonight? Brewers have now seen him a bunch. The Reds offense is kind of regressed as well. Remember, they were hitting pretty well right before the break, but they've kind of come back down to earth. So there's no way I'm laying $150 with Milwaukee. It's just the price has gotten away now. I actually think there's some value on the Reds, but I just don't know if they're going to get enough damage done against Burns, who's in much better form lately. So Burns over strikeouts, over 7.5, -120.
Let's go to the market real quick before I decide if I make this official or not. And I'm not trying to have too much action, but of course that tends to happen here with you, Bobano, which is always fun, admittedly. 50-50 ticket split, but 89% of the money on the Milwaukee Brewers. So you can tell those bigger bets are on the Brewers. And let's go to the total real quick. I don't know about you, how you feel about the total, Bobano, but I tend to lean over after this. At this point, with, again, how many times they've seen these two lineups, obviously, but 87% of the bets and 88% of the money on the under, and it's stayed at 8. So I definitely lean over, which kind of makes me feel better about taking the Milwaukee -1 here at -103. So that'll be my official play, Bobano. What do you think? Or, well, I shouldn't say what do you think. I just want to know if you have an opinion on the side, if you had a gun to head free bet, whatever you want to use to say.
On the side? Oh,
yeah.
Cincinnati, 100%. It wouldn't be Milwaukee at this price. No. In fact, I might take a pinch on Cincinnati now that it's gone to where it is.
All right. Well, I'll ride the Brewers. This is going to be. I've been just at this point, like I said, I bet against them in almost every game against.
I
them.
like Burns to pitch well, but I'd rather have K-prop than -150.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Shout out to BJ, whose 2 best bets are on the Brewers and Cubs. Shout out to you, BJ. Appreciate you for dropping those plays. Let's go on to another series here. Rangers, Astros. And, there's an announced pitcher for the Rangers. but they switched it up. It was Bradford earlier today, and now we've got Yeri Rodriguez. Who the fuck is Yeri Rodriguez? Yeah, here's the thing, Bobano. I said going into this series, the Astros were going to sweep the Rangers here. Sweep them, tie up in the division, and now you go. And I'm going to keep betting the Astros against them here. So I took them minus 130. I locked it in earlier. Thankfully, it fucking locked it in with action or whatever it is. So I didn't have to worry about the pitcher switch because thank God that sometimes Bovada will put out lines without having confirmed pitchers. So that was sick. But I like JP France to pitch decently here. Obviously, the Rangers' offense is phenomenal. I lean over too, just because I think the Astros can just get to this shitty pitching. And if you give me the Rangers bullpen, I think it's horrible. We saw what Aroldis Chapman does in Minute Maid Park, which we talked about yesterday. It's a house of horrors for him. He just does not pitch well there. He's a mental midget, etc. So Astros here minus 130. LA the juice.
Well, the one thing about the Astros is sometimes these unknown pitchers actually can befuddle them. Like I saw on Sunday, they had it was a friggin' Medina, Funky Colt Medina, totally shut them down. I mean, for Oakland, I mean, so they're not immune to they've had way more of these this year than in recent years. This lineup where that guy pitched 2 runs in 7 innings against them. You know, they've had some of those, Houston, and so that's the concern here with this Yeri Rodriguez. Although his numbers aren't very good. So, and I certainly lean over. I know the chat's liking this over 8.5, 9. I was on the I love the over last night. I'm kind of mild and tepid on the over tonight because I actually think JP France is solid, decent. Texas does have a tough lineup, though. Obviously, no Seager, no Adolis Garcia, and that's definitely going to hurt them. But they've still been able to step up and do some offensive damage even without those 2 guys here the last couple of games. So, nothing on the side. I mean, I'm definitely not stepping in front of Houston because they've got momentum. They're 2 games behind. They're the healthier team now. Probably got the more trustworthy arm on the mound here tonight. I just don't love the price where it is right now, minus 145. I'm not willing to go that far, laying a price like that big into Texas right now, even though they're struggling a bit more. But might get there with the over. I'm starting to see some 8.5s, and it's moving in the wrong direction, at least in my opinion. So at 8.5, I'm definitely more interested in the over.
Yeah, you know what's shocking? I would figure that everyone would be on the over, but 43% of the bets and 83% of the money on the under.
Yep.
That's really surprising.
There is that theory too. Real high scoring game, and that was a real high scoring game last night, and you don't get that the very next night. A lot of times, like you go from 15-14 to 3-1 or 4-2 or something. You could see that tonight. And if it doesn't feel like the matchup dictates it, but I've seen it happen a lot. Extreme high scoring and nothing close to it the next game.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like your NBA All-Star going out there throwing up a 70-point game, and the next day you bet his under player prop because you know that's not happening again.
Yeah, and that was 10-9 last night, so that's what worries me a little bit about the over.
100%. And by the way, another shocking thing in this market, you know, I've said many times this year again that the Rangers are America's favorite team to bet on. They always have big money and big tickets on them. This was surprising. 57% of the bets on the Rangers and 96% of the money on the Rangers. All right. You guys do your thing there. I'll be on the Astros cashing with the how many percent of the people? Sorry, I should say percent of the money. 4% of the money. That'll be me hopefully cashing today. Let's go to next game. St. Louis Cardinals versus the Arizona Diamondbacks here. I always call the Diamondbacks the Cardinals because of Kyler Murray. So shout out to him. But we have a pitching change here. Earlier today was supposed to be Gallen. Now we've got Merle Kelly coming back from the IL against Steven Matz. And shout out to Ron Crawford. His player of the day is still the Arizona Diamondbacks here, liking him against Matz. And I think Matz is just not that great, I'll be honest. It's kind of surprising to see him out there doing his thing. I thought Bobano, he's like the human white flag. The Cardinals put him out there when they started, like, you know what, we're focusing on next year. Like, you know, like, let's just have Steven Matz throw these innings. We need to eat these innings up. So give him out there. So I didn't have any lean on this game. I lean Arizona. Well, I didn't have any bets on this game, I should say. I lean Arizona, but I didn't want anything to do with this. The Cardinals have been hitting too well for me to fade them. Unfortunately, they're third in this last month against righties, 132 weighted runs created plus. So I could easily see Merle Kelly getting a rude awakening coming back in the majors and touched up with no rehab starts. He just threw, I guess, bullpens and side sessions. So we'll see. But I had nothing on this game.
I love Merrill Kelly. I don't know if I love the spot enough. And I certainly don't like Arizona's current form. They have not played good baseball since the All-Star break. So I'm not rushing to lay a $125 with Arizona. That being said, I'm not on St. Louis either. And I don't like Steven Matz, which got me back to the over again, just like last night with these two teams. My favorite total last night was that Cardinals Diamondbacks. Over 9.5 with I didn't trust Adam Wainwright back from the IL, although he pitched a lot better. And I thought they could hit Ryan Nelson, and they did. And the bullpens late were also susceptible. So I see the same thing here. I think Arizona can do damage. I think Kelly's a little more vulnerable here in his first start with very little rehab action to get him ramped up for this matchup against St. Louis. St. Louis has been kind of trending over lately as well. So total of 9, yep, over the total for me.
Yeah. And no shout out to all the people that called me an idiot for betting the Cardinals yesterday with Adam Wainwright on the bump. Suck my nuts. Let's go.
Pirates. Hey, pitched better than people thought. Yeah, 2 runs. He hung in there. It wasn't great, but he hung in there.
Yeah,
I was in trouble.
I got really anxious because Marmol said 65 pitches. I was like, all right, 65 pitches. And then he got into the 5th inning, and I tuned in because there was runners on the corners, and I looked, and he's still in. I was like, he's got 70 pitches, Carlos. Get him out. And somehow he got the out, and then we cruised away for the victory. So that was nice. But let's talk about this game, Padres-Pirates. The Pirates pulled the upset yesterday, but the line movement towards the Padres makes it seem like this could be a little bit of a smash spot for them here. Shout out to my guy, Dick Mountain, Rich Hill, who allegedly is going to get traded. You know, people are apparently interested in Rich Hill. Sure, I guess. I mean, if my team traded for him, I'd be like, sure, I eat innings. Why not? But I had nothing in this game, Bobana. This is obviously a K-prop spot for you with Blake Snell, I would assume. But maybe a run line for the Padres. I don't know. Nothing for me.
Yeah, I think San Diego wins. I definitely think they win. I think they could do some damage. Who knows with this lineup, man? They got totally shut down with all the superstar-laden lineup by pitchers you'd never in a million years think they'd be shut down by, with Tatis and Machado, and it's just ridiculous sometimes what you see for Soto, and on it goes, and you sometimes see this Padres lineup just get shut down by pitchers you wouldn't expect. So maybe you don't put it past Rich Hill to have a nice outing here, but they really should bounce back. It was a horrible start. Yu Darvish shit his pants last night against the Pirates. Terrible start for him. And actually, that was one of my K-prop losses last night was Darvish. So I'm a little hesitant to get back to a Padres K-prop, but I think Snell in this spot's the right way to go. I think he can definitely do some serious domination against this Pirates lineup here. A little pricey at -150, but I did go with the over here. 7.5 strikeouts for Blake Snell.
Beautiful. All right. And by the way, we're 100% fading Adam Wainwright next time out. That's on God. So shout out to you, Justin. You gave me a hard time, but I understand your logic there. But we're going to fade him next time out. He just give him some time to wear down again, I guess. Oakland at San Francisco Giants. Nothing in this game again. These 2 games were the easiest passes for me here, Bobano, and I really wanted nothing to do with them. So I'll just pass it back to you. Do you have anything on this one?
Yeah, put San Francisco with a Cleveland or one of those, San Diego, and you could even do a 3-team parlay if you want. But I think those, it's always tricky because sometimes one of these big dogs can upset the apple cart and beat the bigger favorite. But I do like San Francisco here to beat. Well, I like Waldichuk's just a fade every time he's pitching. As far as I'm concerned, he's just not very good. San Francisco should be able to do some damage. The fact they had a day off should help them as well. They were on the road in Washington over the weekend, so they get a day to recalibrate, getting back to home to the West Coast there in the Bay Area. So, and Cobb's certainly the better of these arms as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, Giants with the Guardians as a parlay. I'll probably do that for a little bit, maybe another one with them and the Padres as well. But, yeah, that's the way I'd go about it here.
They absolutely needed that come back to the West Coast because, it's funny that we have obviously everyone has like an East Coast media bias, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just so funny to see that we don't talk about the West Coast teams going east because that's kind of what happened to the Giants there. They just got that put in that vortex and got shook up and lost 4 straight there. So now they're all tied at basically the same record for the NL wild card. So it's fun. Mela, I am doing line movement and such. So thank you for the reminder. We can talk about the last 2 games. I just had no interest in them. Really. Let's talk about this game. Let's go Giants A's. 58% of the bets and 84% of the money on the Giants. Unsurprising. And by the way, for the Cardinals game, it was 81% of the bets and 62% of the money on the Cardinals. Sorry, on the Diamondbacks. There's me thinking about Kyler Murray again, I guess. And for the Pirates game, people have learned, I guess, because they fucking couldn't stand losing yesterday on the Padres. They're all betting on the Pirates. 25% of the bets and 85% of the money on the Pirates. Lines still move towards the Padres, which is definitely a concern. So I honestly would rather bet the Padres minus like 2 or something like that. But yeah, no thanks there. Let's move on to the last game on the card. An interesting game. The Los Angeles Dodgers versus the Toronto Blue Jays. Julio Urias and his home road splits. What are we going to do with him, Bobano? 2.15. Giving him a little bit too much credit, too little credit. 2.15 ERA at home. A 7 ERA on the road. And he displayed that 7 when he got touched up for 8 earned runs against Baltimore last time out at Baltimore. Pitched well against the Mets at the Mets, but that's kind of the Mets, so it's not surprising. But let's see what he does here against the Blue Jays here, because I just don't know what to make of him, Bobano. Like, I really think this team could be a World Series contender. Like, I could think they could be one of the better teams in the National League. But every time their starting pitcher comes out, it's just a roll of the dice. You're just putting it up to God's hands because the bullpen is just so freaking bad, Bobano. It's horrifying. Like, I am maybe the loudest person that speaks out against Jordan Romano. I think he stinks. And every time he comes out on the bump, it's just like, I don't know. He closed out the game against the Angels, was it, that you guys just played in extras? It was fine. A good game there. Seattle, there we go. And he closed out a 3-run lead, but great. But still, in the playoffs with a 1-run lead, it's not Jordan Romano I'm looking for, and if I don't love it. So I hope the Blue Jays do make some additions, honestly. But I had nothing on this game. I lean to the Dodgers heavily. I have, a little bit of a fear fading the Blue Jays here. So what do you think?
Yeah, this is I certainly think starter versus starter, there's huge value in Toronto because I trust Bassett a lot more, right? Even with Urias, but he has been a lot better at home. Phillies, Padres, now the Pirates I throw out because they're a horrible lineup. But he was good against the Padres and Phillies, and he has been better at home. And sometimes this Blue Jays lineup just doesn't produce. We've seen it over and over again. I'm gonna take a shot with the over here, just a little bit. I think Bassett against the Dodgers. The one thing about Bassett is his home run allowance is creeping up a little bit in some of the recent starts he's had. That does concern. He had a home run allowed in the last 2 of his last 3 starts. He was great against San Diego, dominant against the Padres in his last home start. But you get him on the road, he's not nearly as good either, Bassett. 3 runs, 9 hits against Detroit on the road. 3 runs, 6 hits, 6 innings, home runs allowed in each of his last 2. It's been awesome in Toronto. He has been a little bit worse here on the road, Bassett. And yes, Urias has been the opposite. He's been excellent at home, and he's been a lot more susceptible on the road. But we're talking about 2 capable lineups. We're talking about a total of 9 on a night where the bullpens are shot. Absolutely shot on both sides. Toronto's bullpen has been worked to the bone here since the first game of the Seattle series on Friday. Saturday, Sunday, those were 1-run games, extra innings games. Last night, an extra innings game that the Blue Jays won. They used through all their key relievers except for Swanson. I think he's the only one that didn't pitch last night. And then the Dodgers, you look at them, most of their key relievers found their way into that game last night as well to try to get the job done. And Ferguson and Bruce Gratterall was in there. So you're talking about all of a sudden 2 depleted, taxed, overworked bullpens coming off an extra innings game. So this could be one of those games where maybe it starts off 2-1, maybe it starts off 3-1, a little low scoring. Urias has pitched well at home. Bassett's been in good form. but the bullpens could blow up in the latter stages, and I'll take my chances that they will blow up. So over 9 for me, full game.
Okay, over 9 there for Bobano. Gerald Jones leads heavily to the under, and shout out to Sabino and Guano making his presence known in the chat. Shout out to you, Sabino, saying he's not going to put his professional gambling career on the line, but saying the Mets will win today. So shout out to Sabino and Guano.
I don't get that line move, Sabino. I'm with you. I'm not betting it, but I lean Mets. I don't get the Yankee love there or the Domingo love.
I agree. I agree with Bobano. I lean Mets as well, but I didn't understand the line movement or the line in general there either. So I didn't bet it either.
And I don't like the Mets demeanor. Like, that was pathetic, going out with a whimper against Boston there over the weekend. So, I don't like. I'm not laying a price with on the road with a team where I'm worried about where their mental mindset is, and that's a big concern with the Mets right now. They know this season's fucked. They know this season's going nowhere. They know they were supposed to be a lot better than this. It's tough to back a team like that.
I'm excited to see what Steve Cohen does in the offseason. I mean, obviously, he should just be like, all right, I forget what the guy on the Brewers that was on the Brewers forever, his name is. Just write the check. Here you go. Blank check. How much do you want to come just run my franchise, please? So I hope that happens for his sake. But the Billy Epler, I think, is the guy they have now, the Angels former guy. I don't know why Steve Cohen thought it was a great idea to hire the dude that could never make the playoffs with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani at the end of it. What a fucking dummy. All right, let's recap our plays here, Bobano. I'm excited to hear your fleet of plays here. And the other day I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, I'm just getting murdered on sides right now. I need to start betting totals more. And today I have one total on the rest of my side, or rest of sides. So it should be an interesting day coming off of a good day, 4-1 day for myself. So hopefully we can keep the momentum rolling. Bobano, what are you on today?
All right, as usual, we'll do the sides and totals first, and then we'll do the player props after that. Colorado plus 120, Colorado, Washington over 9 minus 120, St. Louis, Arizona over 9 minus 110, Baltimore plus 108, Baltimore, Philadelphia over 9 minus 120, New York Mets, New York Yankees over 8 minus 120, Atlanta minus 140, Toronto, LA Dodgers over 8.5 minus 135, and then the pitcher props. Corbin Burns over 7.5 strikeouts minus 118. Blake Snell over 7.5 strikeouts minus 155. Eduardo Rodriguez over 5.5 strikeouts minus 155. Aaron Savale over 4.5 strikeouts minus 150. George Kirby over 5.5 strikeouts minus 155. Pablo Lopez over 7.5 strikeouts plus 105. Tyler Glasnow over 7.5 strikeouts minus 130. That's it. There we go.
Beautiful work there, Bobano. That felt lighter than usual, I will admit. But, hey, I love it. I love it. You're still the volume.
A little bit. Just a little bit lighter, yeah.
You're still the volume
king.
Had
a huge card for yesterday, actually, even though it was
let's say 10 games.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Hey, shout out to you there. I'll recap mine now. Most of mine are sides. Again, just pretty surprised to see that. Baltimore money line plus 107. The first 5 under in Colorado, Washington under 5 minus 105. Milwaukee minus 1 minus 103. Excuse me. Astros minus 130. Got that earlier today, thankfully. Cubs minus 118. Shout out to BJ there. Boston Red Sox money line plus 127, but I have a feeling that does not go. And I took the Cleveland Guardians run line minus 1.5, minus 105. I don't take many run lines, but shout out to my guy Troy Torrance with his great data points about favorites with more money, more cash, and the line moves their way about it. So shout out to him there. That completes Say Hey Plays. A tight little hour here. We appreciate everyone. As always, shout out to my guy, Lucas Ryan, Rocco Rogers here every day. So shout out to you, Rocco. Rocco, I hope you're coming to Pubblepalooza 3, my man. I can't wait to meet you in person, my guy, and hang out with you in person. Perky Sanderson, RVD 420, Jack Rosenblatt, Gerald Jones, Justin McElvey, Sabino, Rem, all you guys. We appreciate it. Mel in here as well. Jack, I already said your name. Jake Burns in here. Ron Crawford in his place of the day. BJ dropped in here. Jay Peasy, Moose Money. Shout out to my guy Moosey in the chat in here as well. Lex Steele, Jacqueline was in here for a bit as well. Shout out to everyone in the chat, everyone watching quietly at home. Hit the like button and comment your plays. Nasty Nate, thank you, Nasty Nate. Needed to see your name in here as well. Shout out to you, Nasty Nate, as well. And particularly Nasty Nate. Shout out to Nasty Nate there. Hope you're coming to Pubblepalooza 3, Nasty Nate, even though I'm fairly certain you will be. Bobano, I hope you will be too. It'll be fun.
Yeah, hopefully no issues with passports like the last time. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and by the way, I probably did. I don't fucking know music. I'm clueless to music. But shout out to Cheech and Chong, I guess. Do they even do music? I don't even know. They do? Okay.
Yep.
See, I'm good. See, Bobano, these are the things I need to know. I obviously don't know shit, but I'm excited to see you soon, Bobano, as well. Especially because your vocals on the damn karaoke's missed, and we need that at Pubblepalooza 3. Appreciate everyone as well. Hit the like button on your way out. Comment your plays below. Follow us on Twitter at Bobano, at Jose Bouquett. Justin McElwee, you better fucking be there, my man. You better. But this is going to be a lot of fun that time. So shout out to all of you guys. Excited to talk to you guys tomorrow for another edition of Say Hey Plays. Tomorrow is Wednesday. So we'll have Dabby Cab joining us, and it'll be a whole lot of fun as always. Say hey on social media, guys. We'll see you guys next time for another edition of Say Hey Plays.